Welcome to my channel. There's a certain kind of man she can't forget. Not the one who chased, not Theon who begged, but the one who didn't teeter at all. He wasn't cold, hewant cruel. He was just complete with her without her. That kind. Completeness lingers. He didn't try towing her over with words. He let his presence speak. His life didn't pause him, she pulled away. He kept moving with purpose, with peace. And at that stillness, she started to feel something most men never leave behind. Impact, today. We're going to explore why the man who doesn't need her back a mason Fergal. Why? His self-respect holds more weight than any grand gesture. And how Stoicism, not as a tactic, but as a way of life, can quietly shift everything in the dynamic. If you've ever wondered why letting go often saws more than holding on, this one's for you. Let's find out. The power of not needing. Number 1. The power of not needing a man who doesn't seek validation becomes a mystery, while others chase hair remains grounded. A quiet self-sufficiency. It's rare and magnetic. Like the Stoics, he lives. By inner standards, no external approval. He's not cold. He's just centered, and that difference changes everything. When a woman senses sought, you're not reaching out for attention, not bending yourself to win her over, not waiting on her response. Ta feel worthy. She feels it. It's no arrogance. It's not indifference. It's calm. Detachment from outcomes you don't control. Think of Marcus Aurelius, who ruled an empire, but still wrote Night Life lections, reminding himself that praise and blame are both echoes, not truths. That's the essence here. When your piety no longer depends on whether someone at X's back stays loyal, or gives you what you hoped for, you become powerful. You're no longer swayed by the emotional tides of others. Let's say she starts pulling away. Most men panic. They chase harder. They try to prove they're good now. But the man who doesn't need steps back, not to punish, but because it doesn't beg to be chosen. He chooses himself fairly. That presence. That stillness draws her in more than in a clever message or a desperate attempt ever cowed. You stop needing when you start being rooted in purpose, being faithful to your routine, being consistent with your values. Affection becomes a bonus, not your oxygen. And ironically, that's when people start wanting you most because you don't need them to. So, if you're wondering what truly gets noticed, it's this. Not your effort to impress, but your refusal to depend. That's the power of not needing. It's stoic. It's strong, and it changes how the world responds to you. And now before we move forward, take a moment to reflect on this idea. What would your life look like if you stopped needing God, simply started being? That shift from chasing to choosing yourself isn't just about attraction, it's about freedom. I'd love to hear how this resonates with you. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Or just type, I choose myself, daily. Let's see how many of you say are walking that path of grounded strength. Now let's move to the next point because it only gets deeper from here. Emotionally full, not empty. Number 2. Emotionally full, not empty. He doesn't use her presence to fill a void. His life is already meaningful. Epictetus said we must train our desires, then this man desires connection, not dependency. She can feel the difference. A man like this walks into a relationship already whole. He's not searching for someone to fix him, complete him, or distract him from his own emptiness. He's emotionally full Bacchus. He's done the inner work. His peace isn't fragile. It doesn't rise or fall based on whether someone texts back or gives him attention. Imagine this. He walks up early not to impress anyone, but because he has goals. He moves through his day with intention, halas with friends, pursues his craft, and reflects often. When he's with her, it's not to escape his reality. It's to share it. That's why his presence feels so different. It's not clingy. It's not performative. It's grounded. Stoicism pitches that the wise man is content with little because his richness comes from within. That's this man. He doesn't need her love to feel worthy, but he'll lose it when it's real. In a world full of people begging for attention to feel alive, that quiet emotional abundance is what draws her in. Because it's truthfully, women can sense when a man is full and when he's running on emotional fumes. The man who's full, he's calm, steady, unbothered by games. He doesn't panic if she pulls back. He doesn't overgive, trying to prove himself. And that's what makes him so compelling. He doesn't just want her company, he chooses it. And that's a powerful difference. The calm after detachment, number 3. The calm after detachment. She feels the emotional shift. He's not cold. He's clear. A man who's let go on needing her warmth radiates peace. That peace unsettles her because it's not begging, it's balance. When a man reaches this point, it's not out of spite, it's out of self-respect. It's the quiet realization that love isn't love if it requires him to lose himself. So instead of clinging, he breathes deeper. Instead of reacting, hair flex. He no longer waits by the emotional door, hoping she return with affection. He's found something steadier within himself. And here's the difference. He still has emotions, but they're no longer in her hands. She doesn't get to flip his world upside down with mixed signals or hot and cold affection. He's re-entered not as a tactic, but as a way of life. You see, the Stoics never taught us to be numb. They taught us to be unmoved by what weakened control. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That's exactly what this man has found. He no longer reacts to her distance. Instead, he sits with it, accepts it, and continues living. There's no bitterness in him, no inner chaos, only awareness. A man who truly understands himself doesn't need emotional validation to feel whole. He observes, he learns, and he adapts. And she senses it. It's not the silence of Aemon playing games. It's the stillness of Fey man who no longer needs noise to feel alive. He stopped overanalyzing her replies, her timing, her tone, and started investing that energy into his growth, his peace, his purpose. And ironically, that's what makes him more powerful. In her eyes, because real calmness, rare. And when it comes from detachment, it's undeniable. It lingers in the air, creates contrast, because Shremus when he was emotionally available at every hour. But now, he's emotionally sovereign. And that changes everything. When he stops reacting, number 4, when he stops reacting, he doesn't flinch at silence, tests, or distance. He observes without chasing. This is Stoic poise in motion. Calm, unbothered, self-commanded. And oddly, that's when she starts paying attention, not because he's trying to get a reaction. He's not. It's because his stillness sends a signal that most men can't. He's no longer caught in the push and pull. He no longer plays a role in the emotional theater. Think about it. When a man stops reacting, it's not out of coldness. It's out of clarity. He understands, like Marcus Aurelius, that you have power over your mind, not outside events. So he turns inward where real control lives. A woman can feel when a man no longer needs torg, explain, or prove. He's simply as present, stable, at peace. And that shift creates a vacuum where her attention naturally gravitates. Maybe before she was used to poking the emotional bear. Pulling. A way to see IVD come running or giving mixed signals to test his patience. But now, Head just watches. Not to manipulate but Becca's. He no longer places his worth in her reactions. He's grounded in control, off his emotions, his energy, his time. That kind of man isn't easy to replace. So if you're in a moment where she's distant, and your instinct is to fix, explain, or reach out just to feel connected, pause. Ask yourself, is your response coming from peace or panic? Because the moment you stop reacting, you stop bleeding power. That's when Shay starts to realize what she had Becca's. She's no longer getting the version of you who chases. She gets the version of you who chooses, and that choice is the difference between buying for game or deeply missed. And now, E went to hear from you. Have you ever been in that space where you finally stopped, reacting not to punish, but to protect your peace? Where your calm wasn't a tactic, but a truth? That's the shift that changes everything. It's no teasy, but it's powerful. Drop your thoughts in the comments or just type ethos if it resonates with you. My PC is no longer negotiable. I'll be reading everyone. Let's keep building strength together. Presence without pressure. Number 5. presence without pressure. He shows up with presence. Not pressure, no expectations, no control. Just truth. That relaxed energy makes him stand out. He gives space, not tension, and in doing so becomes the safest man in their room. And that's rare because most people, without even realizing it, carry an invisible weight in the way they talk, text, or interact. It's the weight of needing something in return, a reply, a reaction, a reassurance. But when a man is grounded, when he's full within himself, there's no pull for validation. He's simply there, calm, clear, and free from the urge to force outcomes. This is what the Stoics meant by living in harmony with nature, not trying to bend people or events to your will, but showing up with integrity and letting the rest unfold as it must. A man like a Thys doesn't hover. He doesn't press. He listens more than he speaks, and when he speaks, it's measured. Not to persuade, but to express what's real. Women notice. People notice that because of pressure repels. But presence, true presence, draws people in without a word. Imagine you're at a gathering. One man is loud, animated, always trying to obscene. Another is calm, composed, observant. He's not trying to impress, but you feel him. That's the power of presence without pressure. It's not about doing more. It's about being more self-aware, more accepting, more 8 Ps. And that piece, ironically, is what makes others want to be around him. So, if you're in a moment where you feel tempted to push, prove, or pursue, pause. Lean back into yourself, let go of control, because the man who doesn't press often ends up being the one they remember most. She remembers the anchor number 6. She remembers the anchor. In a storm of emotions, his steadiness becomes unforgettable. While others sway, he stands. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Be like the rock that the waves keep crashing over." She may drift, but he's unshakable, and it's in thought contrast where the memory forms. He didn't need to resist the tide. It simply endured it. Calm, composed, undisturbed. See, women don't always remember the Monwo texts the most. Tries the hardest or talks the loudest. They remember the Mon who remained calm when everything get loud. The one who didn't match her chose, but instead made her feel safe in the middle of it. When emotions pulled her in every direction, he didn't chase her collapse. He centered himself. That kind of energy isn't just rare. It's grounding. Like a lighthouse in fog, his presence doesn't shout. It guides. It says, you can lose yourself, but I won't lose me. Think about it. When she tested him, when she withdrew, when she wasn't sure, he didn't panic. He didn't overexplain or beg for closeness. Hallowed her space, but never disappeared from himself. That's what Stoicism is. Not cold detachment, but presence, rooted in inner control. Deacon that says, I choose peace not because I don't care, but because I've lost my clarity. Man like that Ozan just passed through a woman's life. Stays imprinted on her psyche, because when she remembers that confusion, the distance, the emotional costs, she also remembers him. The one who stayed still. The one who didn't try to fix her, but never folded her. That's the anchor. Not controlling, not passive, just their grounded whole. And long after Thuav settle, that's the man she thinks about. Not because he clung to her, but because he never lost himself. That is memory that lingers, not the man hochist, but the man who chose himself with quiet strength. He's busy building number 7. He's busy building. His life isn't on pause. He's not waiting for a call or a sign. He's sculpting his world. Purpose pulls him forward. This isn't indifference, it's discipline. The kind that captivates. He's not lost in distraction or chasing temporary validation. He's focused on the foundation. While others refresh their inbox, hoping for attention, he's finding his skills, mastering his emotions, and becoming the kind of man time respects. Imagine a man who wakes up with intention. He trains not just his body, but his mind. He reads, he builds, he creates. He's building his busness, his peace, his future family, legacy brick by brick. Even in moments of silence, he's not idle. Like the Stoics described, a man who rules over himself, who doesn't ask what others are doing, but instead asks, what am I still lacking to reach virtue? This kind of focus doesn't just happen, it's forged. While others might see hissolence as distance, it's actual direction. And strangely, it's that very direction that draws people in. When a man isn't trying to be noticed, that's when he becomes unforgettable. So if she wonders why he's not reaching out, it's not out of spite. It's because he's locked in. And when a man is locked in, the world adjusts, not the other way around. And now I want to hear from you. What does being locked in look like in your life right now? Are you building insolence or still breaking free from distractions? Share your thoughts below or just drop this in the comments. I'm not waiting, I'm building. Let's see how many of you are quietly on the rise. Your focus might just inspire someone else. Quiet confidence echoes number 8. Quiet confidence echoes. He doesn't announce his growth, he lives. His silence isn't punishment, it's peace. And in that silence, she begins to hear her own thoughts, often centered around him. What's powerful is that he's not trying to prove anything. He's not posting every move, chasing validation, or explaining himself. He simply moves forward, grounded. His actions say more than words ever could. Think of the Stoic idea of euthia, the sense of inner calm that comes from knowing you're on your own path. That's what he walks with. He's not cold, just clear. He doesn't speak to control the narrative. He lets time and consistency speak for him, and she notices. Maybe not right away, but eventually, the contrast between his quiet certainty and the noise of others becomes obvious. You see, confidence doesn't always come with volume. Sometimes it's in the way he doesn't flinch under pressure.
Ow!
He doesn't overreact when things don't go his way. How he shows up, stays true and doesn't chase. That's what lingers in her mind. Like the echo of something she didn't value enough when it was still in front of her. Like the presence of a man who no longer needs to be loud to be remembered. She might scroll through pictures or go about her day, but there's a stillness that reminds her of him. The way he made her feel safe without ever needing to demand it. The way he created space, not distance, but space, that allowed her to choose not feel pressured. Now in his absence, that space feels louder than any conversation. Not waiting. He's building. And in doing so, he became unforgettable. Not because he tried to be, but because it never needed to try. That's quiet confidence, and it echoes longer than any words ever will. He respects her freedom, 9. He respects her freedom. He doesn't try to force a bond. He allows her to choose fully and freely. That level of detachment rooted in self-respect speaks louder than persuasion ever could. A man like this understands something powerful. What is Strelly meant to stay will never need Tobe controlled. He gives her the space to feel, to think, and even to walk away if that's what she needs. Not because he doesn't care, but because he values her autonomy as much as he values his own peace. This isn't about indifference. It's about knowing that love loses its beauty when it's demanded. He knows that the most genuine connection is the one that's chosen, not coerced. Think of booty. How many people try to hold one tighter when things feel uncertain? But Stoic man does the opposite. Like Epictetus taught, he focuses only on what's within his control. His actions, his energy, his presence, and her decisions. That's her domain. He doesn't chase, beg, or convince. He simply shows up as he is, and lets her decide if she wants to meet him where he stands. Maybe distances herself. Maybe she tests waters. He doesn't panic. He remains calm, steady. That grounded presence makes her wonder why he's not chasing. And that very absence of pressure often draws her in more deeply than any grand gesture ever could. Because women can feel when a man respects their freedom and they remember it, especially in a world full of noise, neediness, and control. So, if you're watching this and wondering, what makes a man magnetic without even trying? This is it. A man who lets her breathe. A man who doesn't trap her in expectations. That kind of freedom feels safe. And safe, my friend, is unforgettable. His standards stay firm. Number 10. Standards stay firm. He doesn't lower his values to keep Hanyan close. He doesn't tolerate a dress pic disguised as affection, Sana said. A wise man is content with himself. She notices when his standards no longer bend for her. And that shift. It hits differently because she remembers when he would have overlooked small red flags just to keep the peace or stayed quiet, just to avoid conflict. But not anymore. Not the man's become. He's learned that peace without self-respect isn't peace at all. It's quiet suffering. Let's be honest. It's tempting to compromise when you'll care about someone, to justify tone changes, mixed signals, or subtle manipulation just to preserve a connection, to explain away behavior you'd never accept from anyone else because your heart is involved. But a man rooted in Stoic discipline knows that bending for the sake of temporary comfort only leads to long-term regret. He leads with values, not emotion. And when something feels off, when her words didn't match her actions, he doesn't shout or beg for clarity. He simply steps back quietly, calmly. Because walking away from inconsistency is not pride, it's clarity. It's the quiet strength of a man. Who knows what he stands for? She may not say it, but she sees it. She feels the shift. And what stings isn't just his absence. It's the reality Thathis. Love is no longer automatic, that it's no longer given without alignment. His energy once readily available now feels earned. And that contrast, it's sobering, because deep down she knows she's not acting out of ego. He's acting out of growth. He's not punishing her. He's protecting his peace. And suddenly, man she thought would always better is now the man she has to rise to meet. And that realization leaves a lasting mark. It's no longer about whether he wants her. It's about whether she aligns with what he no longer compromises. That kind of man grounded in his principles forces reflection, not just in her, but in anyone watching. So take Ammerman. Have you ever bent your standards just to keep someone close? Or have you learned to walk away with your dignity intact? Share your thoughts in the comments or simply type, "My standards protect my peace." He becomes the one she can't forget. Number 11. He becomes the one she can't forget. Not because he needed her, but because it didn't. His essence lingers not in what he said, but in how he made her feel. Safe, respected, inspired. That is paradox. The man who walks away well is the one whose heart is toinier. And it's not because he played games or tried to make her chase him. It's because he never placed his worth in her hands. He didn't beg forklessness or lose himself trying to win her approval. Instead, he showed up as a man who already had something powerful, his peace, his purpose, and his standards. He listened more than he spoke, acted with intention, and never tried to impress. She remembers that because most men try to prevent themselves. He didn't. He simply was grounded, present, and free. He didn't ling. He remained calm, centered. That calm became unforgettable. While others rush in with neediness or fall apart in her absence, he stayed whole. And that's what sticks with her. She can't unfeel the emotional safety he gave. She can't unsee the way he honored himself while still respecting her space. Even if she's surrounded by attention now, it's never the same because deep down, she knows he wasn't trying to keep her. He was becoming the kind of man who didn't need to. And in a world where so many are desperate to be remembered, the man yo can walk away without bitterness is the one she keeps remembering. Concussion. Here's the truth. The man who doesn't need her isn't remembered for what hasn't, but for how he carried himself. Calm, grounded, complete. He didn't try to convince her. He didn't chase. Has stayed true to his values, his peace, his purpose, and that quiet strength. It lingers. If something in this video spoke to you, take a moment to share your thoughts in the comments, or simply type, "I choose peace over approval." I read everyone. Don't forget to like the video if it brought you value and stick around. There are more videos on screen right now that will take you deeper into this path of Stoic presence and personal power. Thanks for watching. Stay steady, stay building, and I'll see you in the next one.